Um, so Blade93 asks, what should one do when they feel like they have hit a wall in fighting games? It's frustrating to feel like you have stopped progressing. It's a good question. It's that's kind of one of like some of the important things that you have to learn, not just about fighting games, but about getting good at anything, is like figuring out exactly, one, like if feeling like you're better at this thing than you were before is one of the things that you get satisfaction from, like that's one of the rewarding reasons that you do this thing, then you need to figure out how you're getting that feedback, right? What is telling you that you're progressing, and then what's telling you that you've stopped? For example, so I guess, like, take working out, right? Take lifting weights specifically. There are all kinds of reasons why someone would want to lift weights. Some people lift weights because they find like the muscle look attractive. They want to be attractive to other people who find that, so they do that shit, right? And if that's what you want, then what you're going to be looking for out of your weightlifting regimen, what you consider a successful workout, is going to be very different than if what you want to do is move more weight, right? And at first, just moving more weight will give you the look that you want, but over time, you'll find that the stuff you do if what you want to do is get better at moving weight versus the stuff you do if you want to look better or aim for a specific look, they start to look very different, right? And so you end up with like the difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding and blah, 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 blah. Fighting games are kind of the same thing, right? You got to figure out what it is that makes you feel, what is the thing that you are doing this for, right? If you want, and then you have to figure out how to give yourself, like, what gives you the feeling of progression once you've figured out on that goal, right? So like maybe your goal is to do better in tournaments, right? My goal for the last couple of years in Guilty Gear has just been to make it out of pools at a major. Never done it. Been playing this game like for a long time now, off and on for a while, actively for basically about a year and a half, but like never made it out of pools at a major. I would like to do that, so that's my goal, right? Given that goal, like, one, that's pretty binary at first, right? Did you make it out of pools in a major or not? If no, then congratulations, you didn't get your goal, right? But maybe you almost made it out of pools, and that feels pretty good, right? Ah, that was a bad burst. Shouldn't have done that. That was the worst burst, right? So maybe you almost make it out of pools at a tournament, and you feel great. You're like, oh, I'm almost at my goal. And then the next tournament you go 0-2, right? You might feel like a worse player because of that, but you're not. Like, you just had a good tournament, and then you had a bad tournament. And tournaments do a lot to make it hard for you to compare one versus the other, right? Your pools are not the same. You're not literally playing against the same people most of the time. Man, I'm just getting torn up. This is the cost you pay for a bad burst. Oh, that jump hard slash. Jesus Christ. That's cool. So you got to figure out where your sense of progress comes, but you also got to figure out like what you can do to give you that sense of progress that isn't tied to tournament results, right? Because tournament results are kind of random. Like a double elim tournament really only tells you that like the number 1 and 2 players in that room, and then everyone else is like, you have some idea that one person's stronger than another, but like it kind of like if everyone who lost to the same person who won it all, like it kind of doesn't matter if you play them in pools or if you play them in top 8, even though it's more satisfying to play them in top 8, right? So you have to look for other things, right, other than tournament performance, right? Maybe ranked is another thing that you use to validate your improvement. But even then, like you could finish a session down you can finish the session with fewer ranked points than you had when you started. That doesn't mean you're a worse player, right? But the ranked system will tell you that you're a worse player because to the ranked system, you are a worse player. That does not mean that you're somehow worse with your character than you were when you started playing, though. That's ridiculous, right? So then you have to figure out, oh shit, like if some of the things that I do cannot be easily, or like the ways in which I grow and improve in this game do not easily lead to like results-based data, like how you did in competition, you have to find other shit, right? So it could be just number of hours, right? If I'm playing this game longer, pretty much no matter what I'm doing, like I can't get worse at the game, right? So just hours logged and consistency, right? How many days in a row do you play the games can be another indicator that you can use to make you feel like you're making progress, right? You're playing the game another week, congrats, you've been learning some shit. and that's important, but you just have that however many hours you put in that week telling you you're better at this than you were before, right? And then maybe like I keep a lot of matchup notes, or I try to when I'm more competitively minded anyway. I'm kind of in like a tournament off-season mode right now. But I keep a lot of matchup notes. And so if I lose 30 games against somebody, I still get to feel like I got a lot out of that, right? Or if I win 30 games against somebody, and in that 30 games I got to experiment and learn some new shit, later Kenny, then I still get to feel like a better player, right? All of those are important. They're useful for tracking your progress and growth, and none of them are contingent on how well you performed, right? Those are all things that can help you play just a little bit more, how to keep you in the game just a little bit longer, right? And then that means you're in the game longer, so you're playing more. Fighting games will not hold your hand in that respect. They will not tell you, hey, it's okay. You have been progressing in all these other ways. It's up to you to figure that one out. But there are all kinds of ways to do it. And if you've done literally anything that requires skill before, you can probably just apply some of the shit that you did in that activity to fighting games and see if it sticks, right? Like, there's nothing special about fighting games when it comes to taking notes, or I don't know what the fighting game equivalent of sketching would be.